The hidden reason why many elderly people leave so early. When we talk about the reasons why many elderly people pass away early, most of us immediately think of the usual suspects: heart disease, cancer, or accidents. These are the names that appear regularly in health news, the diagnoses that show up again and again in medical records. But there is another reason, quieter, less spoken of, yet just as devastating in its impact: a gradual disconnection from the body itself, especially a withdrawal from physical pleasure. It's not an easy topic to bring up, especially when the listener is in their 60s or 70s. Society has long wrapped the pursuit of pleasure, particularly in older adults, in layers of stigma, shame, and taboo. As if the moment hair turns gray and skin wrinkles, bodily sensations should yield to silence and surrender. But the truth couldn't be more different. We are beings of connection, connection to others, and connection to ourselves. Throughout life, physical pleasure isn't just part of love or reproductive instinct. It is how we feel alive. It's the rhythm of our heartbeat, the depth of our breath, the sense that we are fully present and whole. When we slowly lose that connection, when we no longer dare to touch ourselves, when we no longer let the body speak, life itself begins to withdraw, quietly, gradually, invisibly. Many elderly people still eat well, go for morning walks, chat with their grandchildren. Outwardly, everything seems fine. But behind those routines lies a stillness, a silence in the body that's no longer being heard. The need for intimacy, for warmth, is tucked away like an old book no one opens anymore. Some avoid it because they believe they're too old for such things. Others remain silent due to loss, heartbreak, or simply because they don't know that they still have the right to feel, to be moved, to live deeply, even in their twilight years. We are taught how to extend our lifespan with medication, diets, and exercise. But rarely are we told how to extend the quality of life by nurturing the connection to our own being. What many don't realize is that preserving pleasure isn't indulgence, it's a biological necessity. It supports circulation, hormonal balance, cognitive sharpness, emotional clarity, and even heart health. These are not just functions of survival, they are the fabric of a meaningful life. Dr. James, a physician with over 3 decades of experience working with older adults, once shared, "Many of the men who come to see me are mildly depressed, can't sleep, and feel like they're slowly drifting away from life. But after a few weeks of reconnecting with their bodies, they begin to smile again. Their voices grow firmer, their posture straightens, and their eyes shine, as if someone had flipped a forgotten switch." The real question isn't, "Am I still capable?" The real question is, "Will I allow myself to feel again?" When you set aside shame and hesitation, when you place a hand gently over your heart or your skin and ask, "Body, are we still alive?" that's the moment you begin to come home. Because aging is not the end of the story, it's a new chapter where you may live slower, but you can live more deeply. And in this chapter, keeping the flame of physical connection gently burning is the very thing that keeps the soul warm and the spirit alive, both physically and emotionally. So if you're reading these words and something inside you stirs, a quiet sadness, a flicker of longing, or a fragile thread of hope, please know you're not alone. And it's not too late. It never is. Take one small step, just one, toward yourself. When we talk about health and old age, why don't we talk about pleasure? When people talk about senior health, they often focus on blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol levels, knee joints, or memory, numbers, medical indicators. But rarely does anyone mention one factor that, while invisible, has a profound and far-reaching impact: physical pleasure. It may sound unfamiliar, even uncomfortable for some older adults. But the truth is, pleasure is not merely a part of sexual life. It is a sign of life's current flowing through the body. It is circulation, hormonal activity, and the signal that your body still responds, still connects, still feels. And when this aspect is forgotten or suppressed due to shame, societal judgment, or resignation, it's not just joy that fades, but biological and emotional health begin to deteriorate as well. You might still be eating balanced meals, sleeping early, waking early, going for daily walks, and thinking you're living healthily. But beneath that surface, your body might be quietly slipping into a state of declining circulation. When you're no longer connected to bodily sensations, blood flow slows, hormone production declines, and the immune system weakens. The body no longer recognizes itself as a living entity worth caring for. It becomes a shell drifting through time. It's no coincidence that many older men and women at a certain age begin to feel, "I'm not myself anymore." They lack the energy they once had. They lose interest in life. But what they may not realize is that the root of that slow decline may not be aging itself, but a gradual withdrawal from the felt experience of being alive in their own bodies. Some of the symptoms modern medicine labels as hormonal decline, endocrine imbalance, insomnia, or mild depression may actually come from something far more human. I've stopped feeling myself. Pleasure, whether it comes from touch with another or simply from self-care and self-awareness, is not a luxury, nor is it shameful in old age. On the contrary, it's one of the most natural mechanisms for helping the body regenerate, maintain homeostasis, boost the immune system, improve sleep, and keep the brain agile. When the body is gently stimulated, it releases oxytocin, the happiness hormone, which reduces stress, increases social bonding, and creates a sense of emotional safety. These seemingly small responses over time serve as powerful protection against conditions like Alzheimer's, heart disease, or chronic depression. You might ask yourself, "I'm already old. Do I still need that?" The answer is yes, deeply yes. Not to feel youthful in a fiery youthful way, but to continue living with depth, with connection, with yourself. When you stroke your own arm gently, when you bathe in warm water and let it embrace every cell, when you breathe deeply and feel your belly rise and fall, you are awakening a part of your body that may have fallen asleep. And when you allow that sense of comfort and tenderness to return, in any form, you are sending a powerful message to your body. I am still here. I am still alive. That's why many modern doctors, including Dr. James, a men's health specialist with decades of experience, encourage reconnecting with pleasure as an essential part of senior wellness. No medication required, no gym memberships, just the willingness to listen to your body with gentleness and the courage to move beyond the outdated beliefs society has taught you to accept. Old age is not the season of decay. It is the autumn of life, slower, quieter, but just as radiant in its own way. And pleasure, if preserved as a natural part of being human, becomes the gentle breeze that keeps every golden leaf trembling with life, keeps every cell humming softly with vitality, right up to the very last moment. At a certain age, we begin to believe our bodies are past their prime. At a certain age, people often assume their bodies have become outdated and that the desires associated with physical pleasure should be put away like a closed chapter of the past. Especially for those over 60, the concept of self-pleasure, already a sensitive topic at any age, becomes even more shrouded in layers of social judgment, shame, perceived irrelevance, or even the belief that it's somehow improper. But science, and more importantly, empathy, tells a very different story. Self-pleasure, or in other words, touching oneself as an act of connection and care, is not merely a physiological function. In later life, it becomes a powerful, natural therapy, one that supports health, emotional well-being, and mental clarity in a truly holistic way. Did you know that even brief, gentle moments of self-care can significantly improve blood circulation? Blood flows more effectively to vital organs, especially the brain and heart, not only helping you think more clearly, but also keeping the heartbeat strong and steady. Self-pleasure also activates the central nervous system, releasing hormones like dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, commonly known as happy hormones, which reduce stress, enhance sleep quality, and promote a sense of emotional ease. Beyond that, testosterone, which typically declines with age, can also be naturally boosted through intentional bodily stimulation. This contributes to maintaining muscle mass, bone density, stamina, recovery ability, and confidence, all essential elements for a healthy, independent life in the later years. But more than biology, touching oneself carries deep psychological and emotional meaning. It is a gentle affirmation that says, I still matter. My body is still worthy of care. I'm not just surviving, I'm living. For many older adults, especially those who have experienced loss, widowhood, or emotional distance, self-pleasure isn't about replacing someone. It's about returning to oneself, to the emotional territory long left untouched due to fear, shame, or the mistaken belief that I no longer need this. And it is precisely this retreat that gradually distances us from life. When you allow your body to feel again, even in the most private and tender way, you're reactivating parts of your brain related to memory, creativity, and positive emotion. You may find yourself thinking more clearly, generating new ideas, and feeling more connected to the world around you. Some even report a return of joy, not because of something miraculous outside, but because they finally listened inward, to their own body. In a culture that glorifies youth, the elderly are often expected to fade quietly into the background. But the body doesn't understand the concept of hiding. It only understands this. If you stop listening to it, it will begin to go silent. And when it goes silent, your life force begins to retreat along with it. Self-pleasure, when approached with humanity and compassion, is not selfish. It is not taboo. It is a form of self-love, a quiet act of kindness toward oneself. Especially in old age, when people need inner comfort perhaps more than ever, this act becomes not only therapeutic, but essential. And if you've made it to these final lines, perhaps a small voice inside you has already begun to awaken. Could my body still feel? The answer is yes, absolutely yes. And more than that, your body is waiting for you to return. For years, we've been silent about the most human of needs. After many years of working with older adults, what troubles most healthcare and mental health professionals isn't the natural decline of the body, but the prolonged silence surrounding topics that desperately need to be voiced, especially those related to pleasure, physical closeness, and emotional connection. Many elderly people live in bodies that still function, but their hearts have quietly closed, their spirits have pulled away, and their joy in living fades a little more each day. Why? Because they've believed in seemingly small misunderstandings, ones that, over time, slowly erode life from the inside out. Here are 3 of the most common and dangerous myths, followed by the truths we must speak more clearly than ever before. 1. I'm too old for that. False. Age doesn't erase the need for intimacy. One of the most common phrases heard from older adults is, I'm too old for those kinds of things. It sounds reasonable, even noble, but in reality, it's a quiet form of surrender, not to sexuality, but to the human need to feel connected, to be touched, to fully live inside one's own body. Human beings, regardless of age, are creatures of touch and love. You may no longer feel intense desire like in your 20s, but the need for closeness never truly disappears. It simply transforms from passion into something softer, like the comfort of a warm hand, the quiet support of a shoulder, a glance filled with understanding, or a private, peaceful moment where you touch yourself and remember, life is still flowing through me. Saying, I'm too old for that is like telling your body, I don't need you anymore. But the body doesn't understand rejection. It only begins to shut down. And as it fades, so does the light in your spirit. 2. Finding pleasure alone is shameful. False. It is a loving act of self-connection. Many older adults were raised in cultures where pleasure was taboo, especially when it wasn't part of marriage or romantic love. That belief led them to remain silent, to avoid, or even to deny their own legitimate needs. And when those needs linger quietly inside, many feel guilty. But the truth is, self-pleasure is not wrong. In later life, it may be one of the most precious ways to maintain connection with your body, a gentle, personal form of self-care. You may no longer have a partner beside you. You may have lost touch with your emotions for a long time. But with just a bit of time, a private space, and a heart free from judgment, you can return inward. You can gently rediscover sensations long forgotten. Not out of lust, but out of love for life. Not because something's missing, but because you are worthy of being loved, even by yourself. 3. Sex and health are unrelated. False. They are deeply intertwined. Sex, in its broadest sense, is not just about physical contact. It is a vital force, biological, emotional, and spiritual, interwoven with survival and joy. When that energy is suppressed, denied, or extinguished, it doesn't just diminish quality of life. It directly impacts physical health. Modern science has shown that maintaining pleasure, even through the gentlest of means, can improve circulation, elevate hormones like oxytocin and dopamine, reduce stress, strengthen the immune system, and help keep the brain sharp. It improves sleep, stabilizes blood pressure, enhances confidence, and slows aging. Caring for your health isn't only about medication, diets, or routine checkups. It's about nurturing the inner fire through connection to your body, your sensations, and your silent emotions. Final note: allow yourself to live fully. There is no age too late to live authentically. There is no stage in life when it's too soon or too strange to touch your own truth. If you've believed these old myths, perhaps it's time to gently set them down. Try listening to your body as if for the very first time. Not to fix anything, not to prove anything, but simply to be present, to feel, to live. And who knows, from those tiny moments of reconnection, you just might rediscover what's been missing all along: the joy of being alive. The restoration method: a step-by-step journey back to your body. At some point in life, many people begin to feel as though they are slowly drifting away from their own bodies. Not because of pain or obvious weakness, but because of the quiet retreat of aliveness, the subtle sensation that makes us feel truly present in this life. As we age, that sense of presence often fades beneath layers of judgment, the busyness of caring for others, or simply not knowing how to reconnect with ourselves. But the good news is that connection was never lost. It's only been asleep. And you can absolutely awaken it, gently and lovingly. That's why the restoration method was created. A 5-step path that is simple yet deeply profound, designed to help older adults reconnect with their bodies. Not to return to who you used to be, but to rediscover life, gratitude, and wholeness right where you are. 1. Preparation: creating a safe space for life to awaken. The first step doesn't begin with the body, but with your surroundings. Choose a quiet space where you won't be disturbed, a place where you feel safe to let go. This could be your familiar bedroom, a cozy spot on the sofa, or even within the warm embrace of a bath. Adjust the temperature to be comfortable. Soften the lighting. Play some gentle music if you like. Prepare a high-quality lubricant, not as a tool, but as a gift to your skin and senses. By doing this, you are sending a message to your body: I value you. I am here for you. 2. Relaxation: slowing the emotion, opening the door to feeling. Before you touch anything, first touch your breath. Breathe deeply, slowly. Let the air enter and leave like waves, soothing away long-held tension. Relax your shoulders, your neck, your belly, your thighs, one part at a time. Don't rush. Close your eyes if it helps. Allow yourself to let go, not to give up, but to release all unnecessary holding. 3. Awakening, touching the body with first-time curiosity. Now, with your mind more still, begin to gently touch your body. Not with judgment, not with goals. Just soft, caring touches. Explore your skin, your muscles, the areas you may have ignored for years. Touch your lower belly, your inner thighs, your wrists, your ankles. Not to stimulate, but to ask, are you still there? Maybe you won't feel much at first. That's okay. Don't force anything. The sensations will return if you are patient and kind. 4. Focused stimulation. No rushing, only honesty. If your body begins to respond, you may go further, but do not rush or expect. Let your touch become more intentional, yet still slow and exploratory. Let each movement come from a place of gratitude. I'm doing this not because I want to be young again, but because I deserve to feel. Don't aim for a peak or an end. This journey has no final destination. Every moment of connection is already the reward. 5. Integration. Thanking yourself for returning. When you've finished, don't jump up or walk away from the moment. Stay. Breathe deeply. Whisper a thank you to your body, to yourself, for having the courage to return. Pleasure may come, or it may not. That's not what matters. What matters is that you've planted a seed of reconnection. And if you continue gently and consistently, that seed will grow into a tree of life, strong, vibrant, and deeply rooted. A gentle final reminder. The restoration method is not a sexual routine. It is a return, a quiet, unglamorous, deeply human return. It teaches not how to do, but how to feel. And that, at any age, is one of the most sacred gifts you can give yourself. Your body, after all these years, is still here, still waiting for you to come home. When the journey back to the body meets resistance, and how to move through it with love. Returning to your body, to feel, to reconnect, to reignite your inner fire, is a journey full of tenderness. But it isn't always easy. Especially when you've lived through more than half a lifetime, carrying layers of judgment, emotional wounds, and long-standing silence. Many older adults, when beginning to reconnect with physical sensation, often encounter quiet but powerful obstacles, unrealistic expectations, shame, impatience, and self-doubt. But don't worry, these things don't mean you're doing it wrong. On the contrary, they're signs that you're truly beginning to touch the most honest part of yourself. And from that place, healing can finally take root. Below are 4 common challenges people often face and how you can gently move through each one step by step. 1. Unrealistic expectations. This is not a return to your 20s. When starting the journey of reconnecting with the body, many carry a mindset of recovery. They want to regain intense sensations, feel as they did in their 20s, have their body respond the way it used to. But the body doesn't work based on memory. You don't need to go back to your youth. You only need to be present with yourself now. The revival you're looking for doesn't lie in intense feelings. It lies in the quiet moment when you truly pause and listen. The first touch, the first deep breath, the feel of cool skin under a warm light. All those small things, if felt with your whole heart, are healing. When you release expectations, you receive reality. And reality, when met with gentleness, is always enough. 2. Inconsistency. Connection isn't a one-time thing. Like anything meaningful, reconnecting with the body requires time and gentle repetition. If you only practice when the mood strikes, or if you stop after one try because nothing happened, you may miss the wonder waiting behind the second, third, or fourth door. Set aside 2 to 3 times a week, not as a chore, but as a gift to yourself. A quiet evening, a soft morning, one unhurried hour. Let your body know you're coming back and that you'll stay. Consistency helps awaken the forgotten signals within you. Like a slow-moving stream, drop by drop, it can eventually fill an entire lake. 3. Pressure to reach a climax. This journey has no finish line. Another common trap is the belief that something must happen. But this is not a race. There's no scoreboard, no timer. No one needs to know how far you go. Only you will feel it. If you focus solely on the result, you'll miss the entire journey. What matters isn't what you achieve, but that you dare to pause, to touch the parts of you long ignored, to open your heart to yourself. Let go of the pressure. Let sensations come or not come naturally. It is relaxation and surrender that open the deepest doors. 4. Shame. Meet it with compassion. Shame might be the hardest wall to climb. It comes from things you were told as a child, from how society speaks about aging and sexuality, from judgmental looks, moral warnings, and dusty old beliefs. But here's the truth. Shame is not truth. It's just a memory covered in dust. Every time you feel awkward, place one hand on your chest, the other on your belly, and breathe. Whisper to yourself, "I am not wrong. I am simply learning to love myself again." No one is born to be ashamed of feeling. You are no exception. And when you face that shame with compassion rather than criticism, it will begin to dissolve, like morning mist in the sunlight. Ending with a small, steady belief. You don't need to be perfect to begin. You only need to be honest with yourself. Every obstacle you overcome is a step forward, not toward pleasure, but toward living truthfully. Be patient, be gentle, and remember, everybody, young or old, deserves to be loved, listened to, and touched with the deepest kind of respect. In addition, old age, if not nurtured properly, can easily become a period of contraction, a shrinking of the body, the spirit, and the meaning of life. Many people are still physically healthy at age 60, but by the time they reach 70 or 75, they begin to weaken and pass away. Not from terminal illness, but because they have gradually disconnected from life itself. Below are 5 important reasons why this happens, serving as a gentle reminder to all of us that old age is not the end, but can be a new chapter if we choose to live with more intention and awareness. 1. They stop moving. The human body is designed to move. But as people grow older, many start to believe that resting means staying still and doing nothing. This cessation of movement, even simple things like walking, stretching, or tending to a garden, causes muscle atrophy, weakens the bones, slows circulation, and reduces immunity. Just 15 to 30 minutes of gentle daily movement can help maintain flexibility, mental clarity, and significantly reduce the risk of disease. Movement isn't about maintaining a figure, it's about preserving the life force flowing through every cell. 2. They eat for comfort, not for health. In later years, many eat emotionally, eating out of boredom, loneliness, or simply to enjoy a little something. They gradually let go of dietary discipline, consuming more sugary, fatty foods, or eating meals that lack vital nutrients. As a result, illnesses such as diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and inflammation arise easily. An aging body doesn't have the same resilience to repair itself when it's consistently fed indulgent but non-nourishing food. Eating in old age should be not only pleasurable, but also mindful, balanced, and kind to the self. 3. They shrink their social world. After retirement, losing a partner, or feeling they no longer have a social role, many elderly individuals retreat into their own world, with less communication, fewer connections, and sometimes even severing once close relationships. Loneliness isn't just an emotion, it's a serious health risk, more deadly than smoking or obesity. Studies show that social isolation increases the risk of depression, memory loss, and early mortality. Keeping in touch with friends, joining community groups, calling grandchildren, these are ways to keep the flame of connection alive in the heart, a source of deep emotional nourishment. 4. They sleep poorly but ignore it. Many older people sleep less or experience disrupted sleep, but consider it just part of aging. In reality, poor sleep quality damages the brain, increases the risk of memory loss, high blood pressure, heart failure, and depression. Sleep is when the body repairs itself, both physically and emotionally. Disregarding it places the body in a constant state of low recovery, making each day feel like mere existence, devoid of vitality. We must value sleep as one of the most natural healing therapies and find ways to improve it with intention. 5. They live without purpose. Perhaps the most dangerous thing doesn't lie in the body, but in the spirit. When someone no longer feels they have a reason to get up in the morning. No one needs them anymore, no more dreams to chase, no more hope to hold on to. That's when the spirit begins to let go. But it doesn't have to be that way. A sense of purpose doesn't have to be grand. It can be taking care of a potted plant, writing in a journal, helping a grandchild with homework, or sharing life stories with the next generation. As long as you are alive, you can still create meaning. And that meaning, that quiet, shining thread, is what keeps you here, longer with this life. Vitality doesn't end with age. It just changes form. There's something we often forget as age catches up with us, that vitality never truly leaves us. It simply changes how it shows itself. If once it lived in running steps, in big dreams, in bursting emotions, now that same vitality may quietly reside in a gentle gaze, a deep breath, or a tender, respectful touch on a body that's beginning to slow down. Old age is not an ending. It is a new chapter where you no longer need to be fast, but you must be real. A chapter no longer buzzing like youth, but one that can be deeper, quieter, and more profound than any stage before. You deserve to have a vibrant body, not perfect, just connected and listened to. You deserve a soul that is not forgotten, not silenced by layers of time. And you deserve to live out the days ahead, not merely to exist, but to truly feel, love, and be present. None of this comes from age or money or anyone else. It begins with one single choice, the choice to believe. I still can. I still deserve. I am still alive, and I will live fully. So whether you're 60, 70, or even 90, don't hesitate to begin again. Even the smallest step, a touch, a slow breath, a whispered thank you to this very body, can be the first moment of a deeper, truer, and more beautiful journey than ever before.